In my original reply to the Father Barron comment on Stephen Hawking's book and the New Atheists, I said that I was inclined to agree that a creation from nothing requires a greater leap of faith than assuming the existence of God. I hereby revoke that statement, much like Luther, at 1521 at the Reichstag of Worms. Like, here I stand, I can do no other. By the way, the translation of Reichstag to Worms seems to be diet of worms. Sometimes I'm sad that I'm not a conspiracy nut. Let us recap what Father Barron said in his video. He said that there are basically three possibilities, or at least he didn't name any other. Namely, first, the assumption that something just came from nothing. Second, that there is an infinite regress of causes. And third, that a God created the universe. And then he went on to say that the infinite regress is simply impossible because it doesn't answer the question, and that the creation from nothing requires a greater leap of faith than the assumption of God. I will for now omit the question of the infinite regress because I already covered that, and focus on the remaining two possibilities. So first, something from nothing. Second, God as creator. First, let me say that it strikes me as odd to somehow measure the distance of a leap of faith. I'm not quite sure how to do that. The only instrument of measurement that I would be able to see here is the complexity of an idea and the numbers of symbols it requires. If that is the case, then I would suggest that adding an additional God symbol into the equation is necessarily more complex than just assuming that something came from nothing. So by that measurement, I think that the argument is actually the other way around from what Father Barron suggests. But that is not really my issue here. The issue is this. Let us assume that something came from nothing. That is to say that there is a chain of causes which we have to assume if we want to do any causal thinking at all. And at some point there is a first cause, right? This is the first something that came from nothing. This first cause would then necessarily have to be absolute because it is not caused. And as far as I know, the most fundamental definition of God is God is absolute. Apart from that, we can discuss whether God has attributes, whether the absolute being can have attributes, and what those attributes are, and whether this image of God that we then have fits the Christian description of God. So in the one case we have an absolute first cause, and in the other case we have an absolute first cause. So it seems that both possibilities are actually the same. Apart from the fact that the second then goes on to add some additional properties to that God, to describe that first cause in more closer terms. So I would really like to know from Father Barron in what way he imagines that the first cause requires a greater leap of faith than the first cause. Because as it stands, I believe that this is just a play with words. And the only reason that we might think that a personal creator requires a lesser leap of faith than an anonymous first cause is because we're used by common sense, we're used to the assumption that beings were created by other beings, intelligent beings were created by other intelligent beings, we all have a father and a mother. This is simply an appeal to emotions. And as we all know, an appeal to emotions is invalid. And it's not the only case where I've seen arguments like that. This is the line of reasoning that obviously is taught currently at Catholic universities, seminars. And it's reiterated over and over again and just doesn't hold water, right? Peace.